evening and welcome to the 8 o'clock news. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Let's take you through all that happened today. Russia withdraws some troops, but fears remain. Putin says Ukraine's aim of NATO's endless dangerous expansion. India, meanwhile, puts out an advisory for citizens to leave Ukraine. After Russia pulled back, crude prices dip. Global markets gain on signs of de-escalation. Heavy security ahead of Karnataka's college reopening. Meanwhile, in court, students say Hecklers' veto cannot be allowed. Two students, meanwhile, are not allowed to take examinations as they were wearing scarves or hijabs. Parents say teachers have threatened us sixth graders. A peace meeting, meanwhile, in Udupi. Lookout notice in India's largest bank fraud. CBI searches for ABG Shipyard Director Rishi Agarwal. Accused of running over farmers in Uttar Pradesh, minister's son is released from jail, but special treatment given to him as he's allowed to leave from the rear gate inside his SUV. This happens right as UP is in thick of election and Lakhimpur will vote on 23rd of February. Only see Congress going downhill, says Ashwani Kumar, who quit the Congress party today after 4 decades. Says decision consistent with my dignity. CBI takes over death by suicide case in the Tamil Nadu team. And this Kashmiri grandmom is winning hearts over her English speaking skills that seem to be acquired recently. The tense Russia-Ukraine border standoff showed first signs of thaw today, after Moscow said it is pulling back some of its forces to their bases. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, meanwhile, said that February 15th will go down in history as the day Western war propaganda failed. Now, this comes after fresh satellite images released by Maxar showed massive troop build-up near the Ukraine borders. The Indian embassy, meanwhile, advised its citizens, especially students, to leave Ukraine temporarily amid uncertainties and also asked to avoid any non-essential travel there. Now, Indians, mostly who are students, roughly around 18,000 of them, majority of them medical students, now thinking what to do next.
The first clear signs of the beginning of the end of the crisis in Ukraine now appear to be visible. And the big hope is that this does eventually work out. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry has announced that it is pulling out some of its forces from the Ukrainian front line, but the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry says they want to see much more clear evidence of this. But there's been another assurance that Russia may be willing to talk with the Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, stating that a diplomatic resolution to the crisis was far from over. People could still talk. And this could all be linked to the Ukrainian president willing to accept that their membership to NATO would remain a dream. In fact, he said, maybe the question of open doors is for us like a dream. He said this in a press conference with the German Chancellor, who is now visiting Moscow. In Moscow, Mr. Scholz, the German Chancellor, has said that he has called for peace. He wants the process of dialogue to continue. Well, as Washington talks with its allies, it continues to believe that a Russian invasion may be imminent. On Sunday, the U.S. Press Secretary said that they have good sources of intelligence. Meanwhile, here in Delhi, Ukraine's ambassador has said that he welcomed India's balanced advisory to nationals in his country, asking them to consider temporarily relocating.
And with signs of de-escalation, markets surged today and Sensex spiked about 1,700 points, ended at 58,142. Nifty also gained about 509 points, closed at 17,352. Both gained over 3% over their auto, PSU banking shares led that gain. And the European markets also gained about 1%. Interestingly, oil prices eased to about $93 per barrel. Meanwhile, back home, the big story continues to be the hijab row, where hecklers' veto cannot be allowed, is what students told the High Court today where the case was being heard. Advocate representing the students to the Karnataka High Court also said the right to use hijab or headscarves in educational institutions cannot be blocked. Rethink interim judgment barring religious attire. It's a suspension of fundamental rights. If the state says if somebody wears a headscarf, it will lead to trouble, therefore it cannot be allowed, that is an impermissible argument. Meanwhile, no hijab, no exam, that's what hijabs and the row latest is at. A parent whose child studying at a government-run school there was asked to return. So the controversy really over the banning of hijabs is picking up. It continues as we speak. Some students in Udupi, in Shivamogga districts chose not to write exams. Others were not allowed to take them.
Okay, ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವು ಕಲಿಸಿಲ್ಲ.
ಇವತ್ತು ಕಲಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ.
ಕಲಿಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
6th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಗೆ ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅವರು ಸ್ಕಾಪ್ ತೆಗೆದು ಹೋಗಿದ್ರು ಎದುರಿಸಿದಂತೆ.
ಇವತ್ತು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಎದುರಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರಂತೆ ಅವರು.
There was some tension at a school in Udupi district of Karnataka. Large number of angry parents gathered at the Urdu government school, demanding to know why their hijab-clad daughters were now being kept away from their class. It's an Urdu school and parents and students allege that they were allowed to wear the hijab earlier inside classrooms. But what changed now was the government order and the High Court's interim order.
When was she not allowed? ಯಾವಾಗ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ?
ಮೊದಲಿನಿಂದ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ ರೂಲ್ಸ್. ಈಗ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಇಷ್ಟರ ತನಕ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು. ನಿನ್ನೆ 7th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 8th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ 6th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆದರಿಸಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರಂತೆ. 7th 6th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಒಂದೇ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು. ಮೂತ್ರ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹ 5 ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಂತೆ.
For the second day in a row, in Shivamogga district, students of a government school were stopped from taking preparatory exams. 2 students insisted on both hijabs and education, but they were turned away by the headmistress.
83 ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ 36 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮೈನಾರಿಟಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು. ಉಳಿದವರು ಅಬ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಸ್ಮೂತ್ಲಿ. ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ, ಏನು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
In Chikmagluru's government's high school at Indawara, these students entered the school hoping to attend classes. However, they were stopped by the teachers and told to remove their headscarves. And when they didn't, arguments ensued between faculty members and parents, and school management declared a holiday today. In the view of colleges reopening tomorrow and sensing the volatile situation in Udupi, the district commissioner chaired a peace meet attended by police officers, district level officers, heads from various religious communities today to ensure the law and order is maintained when the students return to classes tomorrow. Around 100 persons took part in the peace meet. Udupi has become the epicenter of hijab row controversy. However, the president of Parents Committee of Udupi Girls PU College says he hopes that the students will turn up without hijabs tomorrow.
ನಾಳೆ ಶಾಂತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಶಾಂತಿಯುತವಾಗಿ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೇನು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ನಾಳೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಹಿಜಾಬೆಲ್ಲ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ದೇವರು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಕೊಡಲಿ. ಏನೇ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಅದು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಏನು ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಆ ಕೋರ್ಟಿನಂತೆ ನಾವು ನಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಅವರಿಗಾಗ್ತದೆ, ನಮಗಾದರೂ ಇದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Colleges will resume its classes starting tomorrow. Though a volatile situation at the moment, the district commissioner here in Udupi chaired a meeting, a peace meet with all the stakeholders to ensure that law and order situation is maintained. The Karnataka High Court was also hearing a clutch of petitions filed by the students challenging the hijab ban today, and also adjourned the hearing to Wednesday at the same time, where the petitioners had argued that when KV run schools, Kendriya Vidyalaya run schools have a set of uniform code, and when they have allowed for the students to wear headscarves, the students here too should be allowed to wear the headscarves. In Udupi, with camera person Govind Murthy, Shrija for NDTV.
To UP now, where Ashish Mishra, Union Minister Rajay Mishra's son and the main accused in the killing of protesting farmers in Uttar Pradesh's Lakhimpur last year, has been released from jail. He left prison at the back gate in an SUV, not normal procedure for other prisoners. Ashish's father and junior Home Minister had started campaigning also recently for the BJP just last week. It was on the day his son's bail order was signed. This comes at a very crucial time, right ahead of polls in Lakhimpur. Remember, Lakhimpur is voting on the 4th phase on the 23rd of this month.
The murder-accused son of the Junior Minister of Home, Ajay Mishra Teni, has been taken out from a back gate here. You can see him here. He has been taken out from a back gate, and we were told that, like all prisoners, he would perhaps go out from the main gate of the prison.
Accused in the murder of 4 farmers and a journalist, it's not clear yet if Ashish Mishra, who was a contender for a Vidhan Sabha ticket before the events of last October, will also join the BJP's campaign like his father Ajay Mishra, India's junior minister for Home Affairs. Last October, Ashish and the other accused allegedly crushed the farmers and a journalist to death during a protest. However, the junior Home Minister, an influential leader in UP's Terai area bordering Nepal, joined the campaign the day after his son got bail last week. But farmers whose loved ones died last October and their top leaders are in no mood to forget and move on and are preparing to challenge his bail.
आपकी संस्था हायर कोर्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट या कहीं इस विषय में जाने को करेंगे? आप अपील करेंगे? कब करेंगे सर?
करेंगे, उसका कागज पत्तर हम भी इकट्ठे कर रहे हैं और करेंगे, अपनी बात कहेंगे, हम कोर्ट के सामने कहेंगे।
एक बार आपसे और पूछना चाहूंगा, उसकी रिहाई की, आशीष मिश्रा की रिहाई को आप कैसे देखते हैं? आप एक बड़े नेता हैं, किसान नेता हैं,
ये तो जनता देख रही है। अगर जनता ठीक मान रही होगी कि कत्ल करके और 3 महीने में रिहाई हो जाती है, तो इस तरह के देश में बहुत केस है। क्या पॉलिटिकल लाभ लिया जा रहा है?
Ashish Mishra's release comes as BJP-ruled UP votes in a 7-phase assembly election. 2 phases are over. The 3rd is on Sunday. Lakhimpur votes in the 4th phase on February 23. In Lakhimpur, with Pratik Srivastava and Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Now, staying with UP, one of the most emotive issues in this election in Uttar Pradesh is that of employment and claims and promises over it, not only for the white-collar jobs, but also over the unemployment rate in India's most populous state. Alok Pandey and Rajesh Gupta visited the labour mandi in Lakhimpur to find voices of distress and anguish and the demand for political parties to finally walk the talk.
जैसे आप सुबह आते हैं यहाँ, तो आजकल काम की क्या स्थिति है? आपको मिल जा रहा है?
कहीं 1 दिन मिलता है तो 4 दिन घूम जाते हैं, और 1 दिन मिलता है तो 8 दिन घूम जाते हैं।
काम नहीं मिल रहा है इसमें, जो 1 दिन लगता है 4 दिन घूम जाते, काम ही नहीं लग रहा हम लोगों का।
पहले क्या हाल था? मतलब
पहले भी ऐसे था, पहले काम थोड़ा सा
बढ़िया काम चल रहा है।
अखिलेश के राज में ठीक था,
बहुत बढ़िया काम चल रहा है। अब जब से इनकी राज में है तब से बिल्कुल हम लोग भिखारी हो गए हैं।
नौकरी जो है तो बड़े लोगों को ही मिलती है, गरीब को नहीं मिलती है सर। गरीब आदमी पैसा इतना कहाँ दे पाएगा?
कितना कमा लेते हैं एक महीने में?
बस यहाँ महीना में जान लो 10-12 हज़ार रुपया कमा लेते हैं।
10-12 हज़ार कमाते हैं। तो उससे घर कैसे चलता है आपका? महंगाई है नहीं है?
महंगाई है सर। तेल देखो 50 रुपए में थे, 200 रुपए में है, और गैस भी सिलेंडर बहुत महंगा है सर। अभी जान लो भरा नहीं, 3 महीना से मैंने भराया नहीं सिलेंडर है।
मायावती की सरकार में जितनी सख्ती शासन था, अब तक किसी की सरकार में नहीं था, और मायावती की सरकार में बहुत लेवरी हो गई थी, और मायावती की जब से सरकार चली गई है तब से लेवरी कुछ नहीं रह गई है। हम लोग बेरोजगार हो गए हैं।
मैं बहुत परेशान है सर, हमको 1.5 महीना हो गया, 1.5 महीने में 2 दिन ने काम किया है।
1.5 महीने में 2 दिन?
1.5 महीने में 2 दिन।
सही बात कह रहे हैं आप।
सही कह रहा हूँ मैं, यहाँ काम है ही नहीं। इतना परेशान है कि बीड़ी को सब्जी से हर चीज से परेशानी है। मायावती की सरकार में हम लोग काम बढ़िया करते हैं, सरकारी काम भी चलते थे और प्राइवेट भी काम चलते थे।
मायावती की
जी, उस पीरियड में हम लोगों के 800 रुपए लखनऊ में मिलते थे, यहाँ तो 400 रुपए को नहीं देने वाला है। काम है ही नहीं।
पहले तो कुछ काम था, हम लोगों का काम चलता रहता था। अब यहाँ आओ, डेली हम लोग सुबह उठकर जो आते हैं और यहाँ से निराश होकर चले जाते हैं जब कोई मजदूरी नहीं मिलती है।
और घर कैसे चल रहा है आपका?
घर कैसे चल रहा है? हमारे पास 7 लड़कियां हैं, 1 लड़का है। तो अब कैसे परिवार चल रहा है वो हम जानते हैं। किसी दिन नमक रोटी, किसी दिन खाली रोटी, किसी दिन खिचड़ी खा लिया। भाई मोदी जी गल्ला तो दे ही रहे हैं। बिल्कुल। तो खाली गल्ले से तो काम नहीं चलता है जब तक रोजी रोजगार कोई नहीं मिलता।
So unemployment clearly a matter in A concern really in Uttar Pradesh. Another concern is that of stray animals. A big issue there for farmers in the rural areas. The shelters built for stray animals are unsuitable for them and hence they are roaming at large, destroying crops. The farmers are forced to take care of their own fields and guard against damage. Saurabh Shukla has this ground report.
In East UP's Sitapur, 12-year-old Sachin risks his life to drive away stray cattle from his farm. If he and his family don't do this, their hard-earned crop could be destroyed.
अभी देख रहे थे कि आप इन पशुओं को हाँक रहे थे, कितनी बड़ी समस्या है?
बहुत बड़ी। खेत उस दिन गए थे गेहूं बताने, एक मरघा था मुझे लगदा लिया मैंने, पेड़ पर चढ़ा तो फिर डंडे लेके भागा तब भाग गया।
तो भागा?
बहुत जगना पड़ता, बहुत मुश्किल से हम लोग बचा पा रहे हैं।
2 days ago, a herd of stray animals entered Harish's sugarcane field at night. His cash crop was either eaten or trampled by the animals. Whatever was left is now being cut.
हर बार जो है नुकसान हो रहा है। पिछली बार हम लोग वो भी गेहूं जो है 10 क्विंटल बीघे 5 क्विंटल होता है, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ। होता ही नहीं है। तार लगाते हैं, सब कुछ लगाते हैं, जानवर से बचा ही नहीं पाते।
तार लगाने में कितना खर्च हो जाता है?
बीघे का कम से कम अब देखो चारों तरफ लगाए हैं, बहुत 20-30 हज़ार रुपए लग जाता है।
Several farmers here have had to fence their fields to stop cattle from entering. Those who didn't are paying a heavy price. These are pictures of the administration's cowshed at Sitapur. Many cows are dead here and some are sick. There isn't enough fodder for them to eat nor doctors to care. Ram Swarat, who maintains the cowshed, says that cows die here every other day and there's little or no help from the administration.
कितने गाय मर जाती है?
मरते एक 1-2 रोज मरती हैं।
और यहाँ पे कोई अधिकारी आता?
अधिकारी कोई नहीं आता, जिनसे कहा कहते हैं अब बन जाएगा।
The reality here is counter to the claims of the BJP government in the last 5 years over cow protection. There's been a sharp move towards clamping down on the slaughter of cattle sold by farmers with a tax on traders by vigilantes. The Yogi government has allocated more than 600 crores for cow shelters in Uttar Pradesh. Here people like Sachin and Harish guard the fields, sometimes at the cost of their lives. Even if this issue is not discussed on TV debates, the Yogi government may have a price to pay. With Saurabh Shukla, an NDTV Bureau Report.
Also moving away from Uttar Pradesh, let's now look at some of the statements made on the campaign trail. Rahul Gandhi and Arvind Kejriwal, even Priyanka Gandhi were on the campaign trail in Punjab. Also Amit Shah was in Kanpur.
मित्रों, ये अखिलेश बाबू की जो सरकार चलती थी वो अपने परिवार के लिए इतने सालों तक इन्होंने सरकार बनाई। अखिलेश आते थे तो एक जाति का काम होता था, बहन जी आती थी तो दूसरी जाति का काम करती थी। हम जातिवाद को इस राज्य से उखाड़ कर फेंकने में सफल हुए हैं। तो आज आम आदमी पार्टी कहती है कि हमने मोहल्ला क्लिनिक खोला। सबसे पहले मोहल्ला क्लिनिक शीला दीक्षित जी ने खोले थे। पहला झूठ। दूसरा झूठ, ये आपके जो मोहल्ला क्लिनिक थे ये कोविड के समय कहां गायब हो गए?
तो आज मैं इस प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस के जरिए पंजाब के हर व्यक्ति को, हिंदू, सिख, ईसाई, मुस्लिम, व्यापारी, हर क्षेत्र के व्यक्ति को ये आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं कि आपकी सुरक्षा की जिम्मेदारी पंजाब सरकार की होगी। चिंता मत कीजिए, ईमानदार सरकार आएगी, बॉर्डर की भी सुरक्षा करेगी और बॉर्डर पार से कुछ भी यहाँ पे अलाउ नहीं किया जाएगा।
इनको समझाइए कि मंच पे खड़ी होकर बनावटी पगड़ी पहनने से सरदार नहीं बनते। इनको समझाइए कि असली सरदार कौन है, असली सरदार कौन है। इनको समझाइए कि इस साफे में कितनी हिम्मत है, कितनी मेहनत है। इनको समझाइए कि पंजाब पंजाबियों का है, कि पंजाब पंजाबी चलाएंगे।
Moving on, former Union Minister Ashwani Kumar today quit the Congress party, his party for over 4 decades, calling it a decision that was consistent with his dignity. He was a law minister in the Manmohan Singh-led Congress government between 2009 to 2014. In his resignation letter, he writes to the Congress President Sonia Gandhi saying, "Have given my thoughtful consideration to the matter. I have concluded that in the present circumstances and consistent with my dignity, I can best serve larger national cause outside the party fold." He later spoke with NDTV, also saying he only sees Congress going downhill.
I've left because I felt unwanted. I felt that the seriousness with which I thought my views ought to have been considered were not being considered. I also have been writing to Mrs. Gandhi for a long time that people are feeling diminished in the party, and it is not an impulsive decision. It has been a decision that has been taken after several years of waiting for change for the better, and it is not forthcoming.
Do you believe the Congress party is essentially over as a viable opposition?
The facts speak for themselves. I hope I am wrong, but in the foreseeable future, I only see Congress going downhill.
Lookout circulars have been issued against the bosses and senior executives of ABG Shipyard in the 23,000 crore alleged bank fraud case. A lookout circular is basically used to stop any person wanted by the law enforcement authorities from leaving the country through airports or border crossing. Now, the directors of the shipping firm include Rishi Agarwal, Mr. Muthuswamy and Ashwani Kumar as well. The case is said to be India's biggest loan scam, to the tune, like I said, of over 22,000 crore that is owed to 28 banks, including the SBI. Neeta Sharma joins us for the very latest on this. Neeta, it's an old case, but 28,000 crore is a lot of money. What headway has CBI made so far?
See, as far as CBI is concerned, Sonal, they claim that last week they had conducted raids in Pune and, had got some incriminating documents which they are still scrutinizing. Today, the big news as far as this case is concerned, they have issued lookout notices against the directors, as you were mentioning, which includes Rishi Kamlesh Agarwal, Santhanam Muthuswamy, Ashwani Kumar, Sushil Kumar Agarwal, Ravi Vimal. These are the directors against whom now the lookout notice has been issued, meaning now they are on the radar of the CBI. They cannot go abroad even if they want to, and if they want to, for just in case, they need a permission of the CBI. This is a very important case. Both BJP and Congress are doing tutu meme on this issue. They are saying each one is blaming the other that the scam took place during the others regime. As far as Congress is concerned, they are saying that this scam started taking place from 2013 onwards in Gujarat, because it's a Surat-based company. That time, Mr. Narendra Modi, who's the Prime Minister of India, that time he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, and that certain leverages were given to this company. This is what the Congress party is saying. But as far as BJP is concerned, they are saying that CBI has taken the decision to investigate in a time-bound manner. Though it took CBI 17 long months to register a case, but SBI, who is also one of the affected parties in this case, they have also issued a lengthy statement. So, this case will go on, but it's the biggest loan fraud case which has come to light in the history of independent India, even as compared to Nirav Modi and Mr. Vijay Mallya, as far as CBI is also concerned. Sonal?
Right, thanks for that, Neeta. Big indeed. But talking about CBI, let's talk about another update there. The CBI has taken over the probe into the death by suicide of a Tamil Nadu teen who allegedly was abused by her hostel warden and attempted to convert her to Christianity. In an unverified video that had surfaced after her death, the girl says she may have been harassed and abused because of her family refused to convert to Christianity. Another video had emerged in which a 17-year-old schoolgirl is heard saying took poison fearing her marks would fall. So she took poison at her home on the 9th of January. The hostel warden has been arrested. And finally, we have for you a heartwarming video of a grandmother from Kashmir who's winning hearts online for her English speaking skills recently acquired. Though, take a look.
Smoothies क्या बना?
Yep.
Sangdaras?
Orange.
One such emoji हुइस क्या बना?
Dog.
Brary?
Elephant.
Cat.
Kiat भाई बता।
अच्छा
Kiat.
ये मिस गाइड क्या बना है?
Fish.
छोटिस क्या बना है?
Apple.
संगतरस?
Orange.
लिम्बिस क्या बना है?
Lemon.
टमाटरस क्या बना है?
Tomato.
रोलस क्या बना है?
Potato.
गंडस क्या बना है?
Onion.
रोहनस क्या बना है?
Garlic.
पालक क्या बना है?
Spanish.
All right, that's all we could pack in this edition, but stay tuned. Reality Check is up next, where Srinivasan Jain takes a look at claims versus reality when it comes to employment in UP.